but it just didn't seem right in church. Like you hit them with the, you can't, you can't be giving people no like Billy D. Williams looks or nothing. You gotta like, so when I did it, she kind of was all acting all evasive and stuff. So I told her the story. I said, listen, I wasn't even planning to go to this church. I said, I just showed up, dropping off my friend's car. There he is right there. And my partner was running around with an ink pen going. I was like, that silly dude right there with the pen. So she, I kind of softened her up. I did, I broke her. So she gave me her number. And, well, I'm not going to get into the rest. The rest is kind of history. But she told me later, when I was looking at her, she was trying to play me off. Like, she was looking too, like trying to, but hope I didn't see it. Then she told her cousin, she says, when I was praying, something went through me, but remember she had her back to me. So she said it felt like somebody that was 40. I was 30 at the time. She said, so she sensed something too. And then, did you say it?
I said, that could be my husband. That's exactly what I said. I don't remember saying that at the time, but I talked to my cousin, about maybe 5 or 6 or 7 months ago, and she actually said, do you remember you actually said that could be my husband? So when she said it, I remembered, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like I remembered that particular situation, but yeah.
And for me, the whole thing is just supernatural. Because God said, I said, well, Lord, okay, who is she? He said, that's your wife. So then I got her number. I had to tell you the rest. I called her right away. The old school movies, you wait 2 weeks. You don't want the person to think you're sweating them. So, but I called her like the same. I went to work. And I had to be at work from 3 to 11. I worked in corrections. I called her from the job. I didn't even wait till like the next day. And so she was all evasive on the phone. So I said, well, it was either somebody there or I shocked her by calling her so soon. Like, he called me right away? Yeah, he must be desperate. Then I said, well, no problem. I said, I'll call you back. I called back. Her son, my son now, but her son answered the phone. And I said, well, tell your mom I called. So she calls me at work. I get off at 11 o'clock. She calls me at 11:10. So I'm like, who's calling me? Like, no one calls me. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be gone. So I picked up the phone. She says, well, it's Melanie. I said, oh, your son told you I called. She says, no, I haven't talked to my son. I didn't know you called. I said, so how did you get my number? She says, well, you said you work for the state of Ohio. I called around.
He loves that. He loves that part.
Yeah, that was like, check. I was like, because one of my desires is, guys, we pursue people all the time. By 30, I had pursued so many people that was tripping. I was like, somebody need to show some value for me. I'm breaking it down for y'all right now. So that was like, for me, I was so happy. I was like, okay, I said, we got to check.
But let me just say this. I'm not going to bust your bubble. I did
want
to talk to you. No, I'm not going to bust your bubble.
I told you this earlier today. I knew you was going to do this.
No, I really did feel bad when he called the first time. And the reason why is because I had at the time, he was my ex when we met. But then
that morning
he was my ex. Well, when I got home from church, he was there. So when so I was torn. So I was really, really evasive at the time. So I really felt bad that, I had this guy, and we ended up going out to dinner. And by the time I got home, it was late, and my son was in bed, so I didn't get the message. He probably would have gave me the. No, I'm just teasing.
No, that's cool, because you're gonna be busting my bubble like some more times.
No.
I'm gonna bust it already, so you don't have to.
No, I really did want.
Because I'm gonna tell him about the Las Vegas thing. Because she was like, I don't even know if I want to be with this dude. So what I told her is, I said, well, God told me that was my wife. So I said, even that day, I said, well, you didn't know you was gonna meet me. I said, so fine. I said, we could just be friends. So she's inviting me to our son now's basketball games, and the guy was there.
I can't believe I did that.
So I had brought like my boy with me. So imagine, Randy. So I bring him up. He's a clown too. So he's like, we sitting behind him. He's like, I said, man, I don't know what's. So I'm behind her, poking at her and stuff, like, cause I was like, you brought me to the game. Now I'm gonna be a fool then.
I was getting mad too.
And so I figured I came to the game. I play basketball. Her son play basketball. I'm gonna help him with his game. I don't know what she's doing over there. So I kept coming to games, right? And there's dudes at the games. So I'm like, I'm just rolling on. God said that was my wife. Now, mind you, she's thinking to herself, like, he all right, you know. What did I tell you this morning? I said it was like almost like you was doing me a favor or something.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you that one. Yeah, so she has to go to Las Vegas, and God has to say you need to be with Keith. Like God had to like come in the room and interrupt. Otherwise, I'd be here alone now. You know, like Melanie, you're supposed to be with Keith. You know. So then she said, what's the line? For some reason, I went down that road. Like, what do you mean? Some reason you went down? But that's her line. Like, I went down that road. You know, you. I guess I do you a favor. Okay, God, there ain't nothing else for me to do. He look like he lonely. I'll go down that road. Ain't that right?
No. Well, the reason, well, I had been, remember at the start I talked about, looking for love in all the wrong places. So I was looking for love. I was so desperate that I found myself in relationships that really just wasn't good. And so, make a long story short, I ended up getting married. The guy ended up with drugs, and then from drugs it was pornography. And anytime when a woman is exposed to her mate doing pornography, that actually changes the core of who she is. And so I found myself actually, when I got out of that marriage eventually, I found myself second guessing if I could even please a man. Because my thought is, if you resort to a magazine and you got a live body here, what is that? So it really affected my self-esteem. And so I found myself, okay, and then the guy, we didn't have any money. It was just crazy. It was just crazy. So I had vowed, I said, okay, when I get up out of this marriage, the next person I'll be with, they're gonna have some money, and they're gonna be a Christian, and I had all these stipulations that the person needed to be like. And so at that point, I was dating doctors and lawyers and people that could fly me all over the country, And so then when I met him,
Mr. Starting my life completely over from
he
scratch.
literally was starting his life all over again. He had 2 pair of pants to his name. One of them had a hole in them. And he didn't have a car. I mean, now that was like a shock to my system. He didn't have a car. I'm like, and then he didn't have a house because he was sleeping. He was sleeping on his sister's couch. So I was like, man. So we went to get a car, and the guy said, "Sir, we can't give you no car." I sat there, and I literally said this in my mind. I said, if he can't get no car, I said, how this nigga gonna buy me a house? That's exactly what I said. I said, how he gonna buy me a house? And so, he had, to me, it was like he went everything that I was looking for in a man. He did have a job. He had a job, but he didn't have a car. He couldn't take me to the movies or anything.
You're not gonna explain now how I didn't have a car. You just gonna let me.
Well, you already explained. He was starting his life all over again. He was in a.
How did I lose the car though?
He lost the car because it got stolen.
She's just gonna leave me under the bus.
Well, no, he's
under the bus.
no. But he was basically starting his life all over again. So he was in a live-in relationship.
No,
yeah, you wasn't living. Well, that you was.
I'll stay under the bus.
Oh, stop. But anyway, he got up out of that relationship, and then that's why he didn't really have anything, because he left everything with her. And so by the time I met him, he was starting everything from afresh. So
yeah, when you get out of those relationships, you can't be holding on to stuff. So
that's true.
You can have it all.
That is so true.
Yeah, I just start from scratch. I took the bills. You can just take it. Take the furniture, take everything.
So remember I talked about earlier how it's important to have a relationship with God. Well, what happened was I ended up fast forwarding. I went to Las Vegas, and I was a carnal Christian. And what I mean by carnal is I got high off of, well, actually I just drank I wasn't smoking marijuana at the time, but I did get high off of. It was wine, but it wasn't.
He said communion wine.
It was wine, and so New Year's Eve, I just remember going back to my room, and I just remember saying to myself, "No, what happened was I called him, and I had got a little tipsy. Called him." And I said, okay, when I go back to Columbus, I said, I'm ready for a relationship. Well, when I hung up the phone, I was like, what the heck? Well, I think I said Hell. What did I just do? Because it was like, now I had to, honor my word. And but then something inside me said, go down that road. Because in the natural, it looked straight crazy. It didn't look like he would be able to buy me a house. He couldn't even get a car at the time. So it was like, what is this? But something in my spirit man was saying, go down that road. No matter what it looks like, go down that road.
You're not gonna tell the first house story.
So we went, I know you want me to tell that. So we ended up, fast forward, we ended up getting married and went after a house. Now, mind you, I'm thinking, I still had faith. He didn't have faith, but I had faith. And so the guy comes in, the loan officer, he said, well, sir, he said, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to use your wife. So see how it turned? It was like, I'm up here. He couldn't get a car, and then I couldn't get a house. So he had to buy our first house, and we did a deed in lieu or whatever and turned everything, made it right, because one of the things, and we'll talk about it later, it's important that you do things together.
You're in agreement.
And so eventually, we got my name put on and all that. So I was owner of the home as well. But yeah, so he loved that when he told me.
I didn't say nothing. No, I was just like, what? I said it on the inside though, like, what? All right, let's keep going here. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, we said marriage is a miracle. Melanie said this. She said, like, a lot of times, we've always told couples, you marry by faith and you grow in love. You marry by faith and you grow in love. And if you have to have that revelation, because a lot of times if you think, based on the fairy tales that you got growing up, you just get married, it's going to be happily ever after. No, you're going to have to grow in the relationship. You start out by faith. It's a faith move to connect with someone to spend the rest of your life with them and for that to work out. That takes faith. See, so again, it's a miracle, but you're attaching your faith to the miracle of marriage. It is not, so when you waiting to feel good, that delay is just yourself. That's self. Because it takes faith. And faith costs you. Anytime you make a faith move, a leaping is a whole lot different than safe steps. So you marry by faith and you grow in love. And then my wife says a lot of times we get stuck not operating in faith. So it takes a lot of faith to leap and fly. And sometimes, as you grow in a relationship, you'll get stuck in the circumstances because you didn't start in faith. You didn't build a faith momentum. The scripture says, the just shall live by faith, Romans 1:17. It's a faith life, not a faith moment. You know how you had a moment of faith and you feel good and you rest? No, it's a faith life. And so if you have a faith life, then you'll always be moving towards God's vision and purpose, and it'll always be exciting because there's always something to look forward to. But if you shut down, you take off your lenses of faith, so you start out with your faith lenses on. So you're seeing into God's realm, and you have so many expectations, so you're not depressed. You're not, because you're like, I know how it looks, but I see beyond this. Woo! Right? But you take off the lenses, all you see is the circumstances. So now you're frustrated, you're fighting over circumstances because you can't see outside of the weight. So you can't stop faith. That's why you can't rest and start playing. Like, stop pressing towards God, stop being diligent in his word, because